Let's get it started. Y'all ready to get it started up in here? You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna give them something to entertain. Boom. Man, so we are back on the Undisputed GOAT podcast, man. Some of the highest ratings coming off our highest rated show last week, man, had one hell of a time. I'm back here with my guys, the triple double, you know what I'm saying? Myself, Flash, BRF, man. How y'all doing today, man? How y'all feeling this weekend, bro?
I'm doing all right. I'm started to get a little bit under the weather again for some reason. Hopefully it doesn't get as bad as it was before, but it's just tis the season apparently for me, and this season has been full of flu and yummy stuff this week. But other than that, I'm doing great. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs are so hated, everybody's missing my New England Patriots. So, you know, I'm all right. All right.
BRF.
As a Falcons fan, I'm not missing them at all, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But anyways, no, life is good. I can't complain. I'm glad to say that I am back on the TikTok side of things. Probably about to get back into posting. And in the words of John Cena, I can already tell I'm probably about to piss off more people than prank calls. So I can only imagine where this road about to go. So definitely an honor to be back on here Saturday night. We are the highlight of Saturday night. We are the Saturday night delight. And we about to get it popping.
Yes, indeed. And happy Valentine's Day weekend, man. Congratulations, shout out to all the lovers, all the friends, wives, and mistresses that being entertained this weekend. And just be aware of your surroundings, if you will. Just be aware of your surroundings. And remember, a lot of things. Remember, it ain't a gift unless you give up everything. Read between the lines on that. But anyway, let's get right into it, man. Let's recap the Super Bowl.
Leave it to champ to shout out to all the side chicks and the almost theirs. Leave it to champ.
Hey, look, man, you gotta give a shot. You gotta get love somehow, man. Hey, look, man. In the great words of Henry Hill off of the Goodfellas, Friday is for the wives. Saturdays is definitely for the girlfriends. So just be. Well, I'm just making fun. It's just part of the character. It's part of the character. So,
Lordy.
Hey, so let's recap the Super Bowl real quick, man. What was y'all thoughts on the Super Bowl real quick, man? Anybody who wants to go first?
I kick it off. What is that? What is there to recap that ain't already been said? That was a beatdown. That was a grade A+ beat down. That was a domination of the highest order. People that see 40-22 being the final score, don't let that fool you. The game wasn't even that close. The game was 40-6 at one point in the fourth quarter. Game wasn't even that close. And I'm just the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me tell you, I think we pretty much established that the Philadelphia Eagles are the worst matchup for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. In terms of particularly on the offensive side of the ball, but apparently on the defensive side of the ball as well. Well, after this game, but definitely on the offensive side of the ball, they are like the worst matchup. Like Kansas City just hates. I think officially just hates seeing them come. Go
ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say but even though I picked Kansas City to win this game, I might as well say it. I practically laid out the game plan for each team to win, and Philly pretty much did exactly what I said they needed to do to win, which was attack early, attack often on both sides of the ball. If you get a lead, don't let up, because with the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to snowball against them, because if you give them any ray of hope, the old saying, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Kansas City is that type of offense, and they're that type of team. You give them any leeway of hope, they're gonna snatch it from you. Philadelphia never did that at any point in the game. At any point in the game, I never felt like the Kansas City Chiefs had a shot to win this game. And that's saying something, because with Kansas City, they always have a chance. It doesn't matter what the score is. They always have a chance to win. I never at any point in this game thought Kansas City was going to win. I never thought at any point in time. And that's saying something. That just speaks to the game plan. They came up, Vic Fangio on that defense just said, hey, we kind of go back to what the Tampa Bay Bucks did to you in that Super Bowl where they beat you. Tampa 2, great defensive line pressure. We're not going to blitz you at all. They called not one blitz in that entire game. And the stat is, teams that don't blitz in Super Bowls are 6-0 in Super Bowls, which means you're getting pressure on the quarterback. Not only are you getting great pressure on the quarterback, you're allowing 7 guys to stay in the defensive backfield and cover, which puts more eyes on the quarterback, which allows you to read his eyes, read his body motions, jump routes. See the Cooper DeJean pick 6 for a touchdown. That was a perfectly read route on his part. Jumped it 6, took it to the house. I mean, and that defensive line, like I honestly felt like Milton Williams was probably going to win Super Bowl MVP hadn't Jalen Hurts launched that perfectly thrown ball to Devontae Smith to score that touchdown. That throw, I think, clinched Jalen Hurts the MVP trophy for that game. That was a perfect throw, and it was like one of those situations. Like the commentators were talking about it. Like, oh, shout out PSP.
Yes, indeed.
The commentators were talking about it as well. Like, we're thinking about killing clock and running. You still dealing with Mahomes at the end of the day. Kill clock, give them as less of a chance as possible to hold the ball. And then Jalen Hurts comes out immediately after they start talking about it and throws a perfect bomb to Devontae Smith. I mean, like I said, that was one of those games where it wasn't necessarily like, I mean, if you want to say Nick Sirianni outcoached Andy Reid, but that was just more along the lines of he had a perfect game plan coming into the matchup and they executed it to a T. The pass rush was amazing. I mean, shout out to AJ Brown taking Trent McDuffie's lunch money all game. I mean, that was a great performance on his part. And I mean, just 6 sacks. They got 6 sacks. 5.5 were Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, and Josh Sweat. Like that was like that. I mean, when your defensive line is getting that type of pressure on an opposing offense, that opens up your defensive playbook in so many ways when you don't have to blitz, to where you're just disguising so many different coverages. You're giving them so many different looks in the defensive backfield. The quarterback, even the smartest quarterbacks aren't always gonna be able to decipher certain coverages, for like whether you're disguising, say you start in a zone or go into a man or vice versa, just all different types of things. And Philly they were amazing. They were just amazing on Super Bowl Sunday. And the Kansas City Chiefs just looked like they were just finally out of steam. They didn't show up. And it was almost like slowly you kind of felt it, like it was particularly from the Philly defensive side of the ball. It was like the more plays they were making, not necessarily like you felt the momentum kind of like it was kind of taking the air from them, but you just kind of felt like if Philly made one big play, it was like, okay, this might be lights out. And then you get the pick 6, and then Zach Bond comes back with another pick. After that one, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna turn it. I'm gonna be committed to this game. But I tell you what, any other dude would probably flip the switch right here, because this one might be a wrap. And just Kansas City couldn't do anything. It's like, and even when they were starting to build a little momentum on the offense, when getting a drive here and there, getting a couple of first downs, pressure, either a sack or a pressure, speeding up Patrick Mahomes' clock. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't do a thing. And just shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for coming in here with a game plan, and just they lit him up all game. Patrick Mahomes was just it was almost like a deer looking at the headlights when it came to him seeing that Philadelphia defense coming his way. He didn't know what to do. And very rarely do you say that with Patrick Mahomes, but it's like he didn't have a clue. Like Andy Reid, that entire offensive coach staff is like they didn't have a clue. And that Philly offense, the misdirection. And I mean, Kansas City did an amazing job of taking Saquon Barkley out that game. And that's what I said. Like, if Kansas City's gonna win, they need to take Saquon Barkley out the game. But they did that. But when you got AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Kansas City being known for their cornerback play, and they just didn't stand a chance. So the Philadelphia Eagles took this one. We're not going to discredit the Philadelphia Eagles here, not one bit. They took that game. They snatched Kansas City hard out. I haven't seen a team. I mean, to see that in a Super Bowl when you expect like one of the best games of the year, to see one team just snatch an opposing team's hearts out the way Philly did Kansas City, that just speaks to the game plan Philly had, and they executed it to a T. So, nope, we can't. No, we're not going to make excuses for Kansas City. They didn't show up. Philly showed up, played a hell of a game, and they deserve to be where they're at right now, throwing that parade, and just having just doing their thing. So, shout out to the Eagles, man. That was probably one of the best performances from a team I've seen in the Super Bowl in a while. On both sides of the ball. That was the epitome of what domination is.
Go ahead. So I actually want to give a shout out to KC's defense before I just completely shit all over their team. I actually think their defense actually played really well. If you look, it was just the offense. They held Barkley, and you can't throw a pick six and then throw another pick within your own 10-yard line. The defense honestly was doing. I mean, they picked Hurts in the first quarter. Like, they kept giving Mahomes opportunities, and I read an article today about how the Chiefs looked like they had burnout, because there was a lot of confusing things about this game. And we can go, I'll get to the whole Mahomes Tom Brady thing here in a second, but the way you beat a great quarterback is if you can rush with 3 and 4 and win those battles, you're gonna yeah, that's how you beat great quarterbacks. That's how you beat the Mannings, the Mahomes, the Bradys. That's why Brady lost in the undefeated season. That Giants team rushed with, their front 4, and that was it. And they got home. Now, Brady had them in a position to win the game at the end, and they, that won and everything. And it still took a miracle for them to win, the Giants to win. But I mean, that's the recipe to beat any great quarterback. But yeah, I watched some film on this, and I watched a very lazy Travis Kelce on blocking. Now, I know blocking is not his forte. His forte. Like, he's no Gronk, he's no whatever when it comes to his blocking. But there was always effort there, and I saw no effort. Like, he was missing assignments on pick. His chips were lazy. Like, it was he was late getting over on stunts. Mahomes, even though the Eagles front 4 put a ton of pressure on him, he had moments where he had time. And he was seeing ghosts. Like, they beat him up so bad. So it was weird to watch Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes. And for somebody who is up there when it comes to catch efficiency with Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins just dropped stuff right in his hands. I mean, the whole team the whole offense, I should say, imploded. And, I'm disappointed in Andy Reid coming out of halftime. There were no adjustments. And even if the thing is, even if I shouldn't say there were no adjustments, even the adjustments were made. Like, this was a really bad game by Mahomes. like on an epic level. Like this was, you know, this was John Elway in Super Bowl 24, where the moment seemed too big for him. I never thought I would say that about Patrick Mahomes, but the moment seemed too big for him. They looked like a deer in headlights. Even if you go before the game, they all just looked like this. Tense. Honestly, it was like that 07 Patriot team. They walked into there and they just they looked so tense. Like the pressure was just too much. And as a Brady guy, every time the conversation comes up about, oh my God, look at this quarterback. Maybe he's going to take the throne away from Brady. But can we, again, just like I said before, can we really stop the nonsense right now? I realize that Patrick Mahomes is only 29. He's hopefully got a long career ahead of him. But even Brady never crapped the bed like this in the Super Bowl. And this wasn't even like I mean, this was crap the bed on. He had 24 yards passing at halftime. This was, you know, they finally got their wide receivers. They got Hollywood Brown. They got DeAndre Hopkins. They still had Kelsey, you know, and I know Kelsey's not what he used to be, but he looked washed. Like he looked like he should retire. Like he just looked like he was checked out. Like, I'm just going to go make love to Taylor Swift the rest of my life and do my podcast with my brother checked out, which is fine if you want to do that. But dude, like, you let your quarterback get killed. It was just
down. I'm trying to make love over here.
it was just but at the same time, though, the narrative right now against Mahomes about how, like, he's like, you know, we overhyped him, we over this, we over that, and I'm kind of like, whoa, okay. The kid is still one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Like, let's calm down. Like, I don't like him either. I hate the Chiefs in general, but Andy Reid is still one of the greatest coaches of all time. Patrick Mahomes is still a first ballot Hall of Famer. So is Andy Reid. Like, even Travis Kelce is still a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let's make no mistake about this. Like, this goes back to what I've been saying. It's really hard to win in this league. Yeah. It's the thing is that Brady and Mahomes have made it look so easy. Our expectations and the narrative around a lot of discussions is just insane. And it goes to the topic that BRF was talking about before we came on in the air, about how people are talking about that Jalen Hurts is a top 2 quarterback. No, he's not. Is he top 10? Sure. I think he was already top 10. I don't think that was an argument. Do I think that this, like, enhances his legacy? Sure, absolutely. I think you go into 2 Super Bowls against Patrick Mahomes and you outplay him both times. You know, yeah. But at the same time, like this one, yeah, that bomb to Smith was phenomenal. But, and I'm not saying Hurts didn't play well, you know, but when you get the ball inside the 10-yard line, you know, with that offensive line and that running back, like, you better punch it in. Like, that's the thing. Like, you better do that. And so, yeah, he's a top 10 quarterback. I don't even think that was a question already, but is he top 2, top 3, top 4?
It's a lot of questions, man. It's a lot of questions. And look, I think I said this on Sports PSP's podcast. Shout out to Sports PSP, a frequent. Although he's not on the show, he's a part of the show. We call him our special guest star. You know what I'm saying? So, but with that being said, I think I said this on PSP's podcast last night. It's something about these coronation games that just gets guys up out of there fast. Remember, the undefeated scene was supposed to be Tom Brady's coronation over Joe Montana.
Yeah, it was.
That didn't work.
No.
The 1990 season for the San Francisco 49ers was supposed to be Joe Montana's coronation to be the super greatest of all time, if you will. I couldn't find a word, but it was supposed to be that.
You're right. It was supposed to ascend that team past the 70s Steelers.
Yes.
As the greatest dynasty of all time.
Yes, that was supposed to ascend them.
Yep.
Then the Giants came in and said, hell no.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
I mean, even with the Steelers, in the 1975 game when they was trying to three-peat for the first time. Remember what happened against the Oakland Raiders? They came out there and beat them like they stole something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's something about these coordination games. This is a coordination. This is just a foregone conclusion. There's something about those games that just it antes up the pressure. It antes it up.
Does.
And look, I mean, I don't think people want to acknowledge this. Twice this year, we were supposed to see a three-peat. We were supposed to see it with the Las Vegas Aces, and we were supposed to see it with the Kansas City Chiefs, and ain't none of them win.
You know how hard it is to three-peat?
It's hard as hell.
It's why, look, I heard a great, like when everybody talks about the 2 years that Jordan was out, essentially 1.5, but we call it 2 because he came back right before the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. Anywho, everybody talks about the only reason Olajuwon won those 2 rings is because, like, Jordan wasn't playing. And I saw a great interview with Steve Kerr, and he was talking about that, like, you know, when he was, you know, still coaching, or he was already coaching Golden State at that time. And he's interviewed, and he said, I don't think we would have won those 2 years. The exhaustion level that it takes to do that is just so much. Like, even if you look at the 98 Bulls, they barely got past the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, it was really close that that game went to 7. And it literally, Jordan dragged. If you go back and watch The Last Dance and go back to that season, Jordan dragged that team to the playoffs into that finals win.
Yeah, because Pippen didn't play most of the season. So
yeah, and Rodman was off doing Rodman things. So that
if I had Carmen Electra, I'd be out there doing Rodman things too. Hell,
yeah, I don't blame him.
So I don't blame you. Shout out to Dennis Rodman.
Tried Carmen Electra as a forgotten one of, like, oh yeah, she was like on another level hot.
Yeah. I mean, that's Carmen Electra. Hell, I'm missing practice too. Matter of fact, I might show up 3 hours late. So
I would have straight looked at Phil Jackson. I'd have been like, practice? Do you see what is standing over there right now? Did you see that? Yeah. But it's so hard.
I mean, did we lie?
Yeah, she was top tier. No, she was. Dude, she was pure, like, yes, like she was.
I'm sorry, y'all. Just hearing the blunt honesty just makes for fabulous entertainment.
Dude, I'm holding back right now, like Carmen Electra's. Anywho, back to.
I take prime Carmen Electra over prime Pamela Anderson, but that's a conversation for a whole nother day.
That's reserved for the end of the show. We'll go back to that one.
Oh man, I don't know. Well, yeah, hold on. It's close, but it's anywho. Okay, but back to how hard it is to three-peat. It's so hard, and like, and Champ touched on it. It's like the coronation thing of the. You're going to be the greatest of all time. This is going to set this team up to be the the greatest dynasty of all time. And yeah, I will say I didn't expect that. I honestly didn't expect that. I thought there was a possibility. No, I said Kansas City was going to win, but I thought it would be the same thing we've seen all year. They would keep it close, and then at the end of
we are about to ban you forever. We are about to ban you.
No, because No,
I love you, Lee.
No, Lee, dude, that's something great. And the only reason I can't say something that hilarious is because of my skin complexion. So I just
we banned you forever.
No, that was dude. 2 thumbs up for that comment. Bravo. I'm jealous.
Boy, if I had 5 hands, I'd give him 5 thumbs up. I don't even care. Ooh.
You see that people, we just can't take. You can't take us nowhere.
Can't take us nowhere.
Can't take us nowhere.
Anywho,
nowhere.
So I am really surprised, and I think the next question we should ask is, and I don't know, where are we going from here? Do we want to touch on the Eagles? Can the Eagles go back to back, or is this the death of the dynasty?
Oh, I'm just gonna be very, very honest with you. And since you brought up the subject, we're gonna go into that segment, and we're gonna touch on both of them at the same time. To be honest with you, can the Eagles go back to back? And it's just the death of a dynasty. Look, I'm just gonna be real. I think the Eagles can go back to back. I really do, because the thing is, they have the ingredients in order to do that. Now, are we going to get another 2,000-yard season from Saquon? I doubt it, but we're still going to get a lot of production from him. So it's really going to depend on how healthy he is next year and how healthy that team is.
Yeah.
Plus, it's going to depend on who their offensive coordinator is, because you saw what happens when they get a bad one.
Yeah.
You saw what happened 2 years ago when they get a bad one. So it's really going to depend on their offensive coordinator. It's really going to depend on if that team can stay healthy for the rest of the year. And it's really going to depend on the health of that team. Really, if you really want me to be honest with you, there's really no, outside of the 49ers, and I will say Detroit. Those are the big 3 that I see going into next year. And we still have to worry about what team is Myles Garrett going to end up on next year as well. Thing about the Detroit Lions is they got decimated, and their coaching staff just got decimated. So that's a strike on them right there. I think the San Francisco 49ers are good because they just got back Robert Saleh, and that defense is going to be top tier. And there's a lot of rumors with them about 2 guys, Joey Bosa and Myles Garrett. So depending on if they can get one of those 2 in order to pair with Nick Bosa, I think that can definitely be something special, because I think that teams are going to pick up on, okay, this is how we have to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We got to have a pass rush so good that we can drop our guys back in the cut. We have to let's be honest with you. We have to have a defensive line so good that we can play Tampa 2 defense for the rest of the game. Because remember, that defensive line for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guess what? Well, I don't know why they call it the Tampa 2. It's really the Steeler 2, because that's where they got it from. It's the Steeler 2, but I digress. But that defensive line was so good for the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Steelers at one point. You didn't need a lot of guys to rush. Guys could drop back into coverage and just cover it. It wasn't a lot of blitzing, contrary to popular belief. And that's what the Tampa 2 is all about, is, keeping control up front with your 4 defensive line, getting the pass rush up front, and then dropping your guys back into coverage so that they can cover the targets. There's not a lot of windows and space out there. So you have to wonder who's going to follow suit and say, hey, we're going to go for broke, and we're going to go get Myles Garrett, and we're going to say, hey, let's go. One team
I think the team that you're neglecting is my hometown team, the Packers. I know that they had a rough year in general to a certain extent, but they still made the playoffs. And there's been rumors that they're going to go get Myles Garrett or Max Crosby.
I don't know. I don't ever discount Green Bay because you guys are title town. I don't want to ever get it twisted.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying too.
But the thing is, the last time y'all got the legitimacy of y'all pass rush, y'all don't make. I'm just gonna be honest. This is just my history with the team. I don't know as much as you do because you're right. They're right there in your backyard. But to my knowledge, Green Bay ain't never made a lot of trades like that except for Brett Favre.
No, no, they don't. They typically, build through the draft. That's a typical thing. But they do go out and make splashes at times. It does happen. They go sign Reggie White. They go sign Charles Woodson. No, we don't need a wide receiver one. No, we don't.
You might as well you might as well throw Josh Jacobs in that in the year he had this year.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs. That's another splash. No, we don't need a number one wide receiver. We don't need Devontae Adams. This is, again, another overreaction. We literally we walked into this year looking at Green Bay's wide receiving core and said it was one of the deepest and best young wide receiving cores in the league. Okay?
Facts.
Okay? That's a unanimous thing. Nobody can argue that. Jaden Reed is actually ascending as one of the best route running slot receivers in the league and was one of the best playmakers in the league. We don't need to go get Devontae Adams. I am not taking away snaps from these young guys. I want these guys to grow and develop with Jordan Love. I don't want that. I need to go get a beast. I need a Reggie White. I need a Charles Woodson. I need a Clay Matthews. I need somebody that offensive coordinators wake up in cold sweats thinking about how they're going to stop them the night before. The offense is fine. I literally Green Bay's offseason. You go get Myles Garrett. You go get Max Crosby. You keep adding to that offensive line to keep to keep Jordan Love upright, and you go add another corner and a linebacker. Like, our offense should be fine. Again, we were falling back to the Rodgers. Yeah, I'm fine. Yes, if you want to add some veterans, like in the trenches, like when it comes to the offensive line or the front, the front seven, I agree. The team is way too young. So if you want to go get, some veterans too, I would love that. I just don't think we need the number one wide receiver thing. I think that's an overblown need. That's always talked about. And I heard it for years when Aaron Rodgers was here, when he was throwing the ball to Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, and everybody was screaming, we need to draft a guy in the first round. No, we don't. So go ahead.
I have a question I have to ask you.
Yeah.
Because I know you just said you don't, and I know, I know this, but would you welcome the thought of bringing Deebo Samuels to your team?
No.
Okay. I had to ask that because I've been covering that all week. The role that Deebo plays is almost as similar to Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed takes handoffs and end arounds and stuff like that. We already have that guy. We don't need another one. So and we're going to pay through the nose for him, and then we're going to take away snaps from a young guy. So no, I don't want. I don't. If there's any tight end, like here's the thing, like go get your guys' tight end. If you want to add something to the offense, what's his face from Atlanta? Kyle Pitts.
Take a flyer. Yeah, take a flyer on him. Throw him in the mix in that offense and see what happens. Go do that. Go get a really good athletic tight end. That's what I want to see added to the offense. Our running game is going to be fantastic, and I think you can draft another running back. I think now you need a little bit more of an extra. Like, is Kittle a free agent? Is he? If he is, fine.
He on the back end of that deal, I believe.
So that's Go get another tight end. I want to see them draft a running back, and add another with Jacobs. Even though they didn't have AJ Dillon all year, he was injured all year. So they have they can make minor things to make that offense even better. But I really want to see. I want a scary MFer on defense. That's what I want. That's what will put this team over the top. And just health. That's it. Just health. That was it. So But for the Eagles to go back to back, I don't see why not. And it goes back to what the champ said, and I completely agree. It's always health. As hard as it is to three-peat in this league, it's really hard to go back to back too.
Yeah.
Teams are going to get better in the offseason. We just talked about, those four teams, including Green Bay. You look at the AFC, Kansas City's still going to be there. Kansas City's not going away. They're
not going away at all.
No, they're not going away. You still got Baltimore. Lamar's got take his panties off when it comes to the playoffs, so he can actually play like a man. But other than that, like he's got to like, but they're still going to go 12-5, and make the playoffs, probably win the division. Pittsburgh, if they do something at quarterback where it's like, decent, add a little bit more to that offense, they're going to be right there. Cincinnati and Joe Burrow, if they bring back Chase and T. Higgins and just give him a average defense,
that's who need to trade for Myles Garrett right there, because him and Hendricks would be monstrous.
Yeah, I mean, they need corner help. They need everything. But yeah,
since come on, man, we've already established the Cincinnati Bengals when it comes to spending money. They ain't finna do that.
They don't.
The thing is, look, I'm gonna just be real. Old habits die hard. But if you want to, I'm gonna just be real, because nobody, in my humble opinion, is on the hot seat more than the Cincinnati Bengals front office this offseason. In my humble opinion, nobody is under more of the hot seat than that front office. Because I've been on record saying it, and I hate to be a broken record. If I'm Joe Burrow, because they have a deep team on offense, they have a deep team. Remember, I think Chase Brown, he had almost 1,000 yards. He only played 8 games the entire season. That's how deep that team was. At the running back position and at the receiver position. The only thing they really lost was Tyler Boyd. But if I'm Joe Burrow and you don't re-sign T. Higgins and you don't re-sign Jamar Chase, and I have to come back with, a bunch of champs on my team, then guess what? Either I'm retiring or either you're going to trade me.
Yeah.
And the team I'm asking you to trade me to, you will trade me to the San Francisco 49ers.
I don't know, dude. He came out and said that those three want to play together, and he goes, and he alluded to it doesn't have to be Cincinnati.
Again, and that's what I'm saying. If you do not sign me, you do not sign my guys, guess what? I'm asking for a trade, or either I can retire. Guess what? And you can rebuild this son of a gun over by yourself, because you're not going to put me out there to tear out my knees. I already been, because if I'm Joe Burrow, I'm thinking like this. I've already been hurt numerous times already. When this team is on, it is on. There ain't nothing. It's like a well-oiled machine. Can't nothing turn it off. So if you do not sign my guys, guess what? Hey, you might as well just either you can get on the line with the 49ers, or look, I'm going to just be real. Can you imagine Joe Burrow with the Minnesota Vikings?
Jesus Christ, champ.
They need something right about now. They never had a stable quarterback at that franchise. So if I'm the 49ers or if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I'm looking closely at what Cincinnati is doing and how they're mismanaging their greatest asset. Because if you don't re-sign those two guys, if I'm Joe Burrow, you're going to trade me. And if I'm Minnesota, I'm licking my chops and I'm going to say this. Look, I'm going to give Cincinnati a call. We give you 4 first-round picks in 3 seconds in order to get Joe Burrow. We give you 4 of them. Oh yeah, I give you 4 for Joe Burrow. Hell, I give you.
I know. And a quarter of your stake in ownership and a part of my soul and everything. Like you need. I give
you that. I even send you. I send you the whole library of West Coast Productions. I give you all that.
Yeah. So if I'm Joe Burrow, and an opportunity is staring at me in the face to go from Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, which is really not that much of a drop-off, bro. I mean, that's not much of a drop-off. If I'm Joe Burrow and I'm going to go anywhere and I'm not playing with Jamar and T. Higgins, yeah, I'm going to Minnesota. I'm going to Minnesota. Because not only do you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, you also got T.J. Hockenson as tight end. I think Aaron Jones is going to come back next year. So I mean, it's not like offensively, talent wise, it's not like it's a drop off or anything going to Minnesota on the offensive side of the ball. So, whoo, boy, they tell you, man.
Yeah, I'm not finna, like I said, you're not wasting my career like you did Carson Palmer's. You're not wasting the rest of my career like you did Boomer Esiason. And people want to give the Red Dead Revolver a lot of hell, But in reality, a lot of those steps that they didn't take is what held Andy Dalton back in that franchise. Andy Dalton
was a really good quarterback.
Yeah,
he had Marvin Lewis as his head coach. That's what that was. Homeboy didn't know how to win the playoffs, save his life.
I believe he was blackmailing that franchise or something, because for him to go that long and not win a playoff game, I don't know. I don't know. He had some pictures of somebody.
He knew something. That's
that dude knew something, man. I'm like, bro, so either you holding something over their head or they finally paid you off in order to fire you. I don't know what happened with that situation, but I believe it's really going to depend on how good these teams get, because I think Myles Garrett already requested a trade. It's just a question of who's going to go get him at this point. And I would love to see a contender go get him. Like I said, the 49ers come to 9, and and the Detroit, I don't think Detroit will trade for, because they already got Zadarius Smith to go opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. But it wouldn't surprise me. But I think the Eagles can go back to back. I think they can go back to back. Will they? I don't know. When you think about the big three in that division and the Packers, when you think about it, I don't know if they will. Anything you want to add, BR?
Yeah. I'll speak on it. I hadn't really got a chance to speak on the Eagles as far as going to back to back. Do I think they can? Absolutely, because you saw, like, when the gears got rolling and they got hot, you saw, like, how when everything's rolling, you see how good the Philadelphia Eagles are as a team. Like, when both sides of the ball are rolling, I definitely do think they can, albeit I think the NFC is a little bit deeper than just San Fran and Detroit when you think about teams that could possibly, just get to the playoffs. I know what you're talking about as far as like the Super Bowl, but the NFC, I think, that's one thing we have to look at with these, year to year going by. Like, well, can, such and such repeat? Can they win it again? Like, the NFC, teams, you look at teams that just need, like, the right luck to kind of fall their way, as far as like whether it's having a good draft or doing good at free agency. Outside of the obvious, Detroit, I think you have to throw Green Bay in there. You have to. I'm sorry, you got to, after making the NFC Championship game, you got to throw Washington in there, because they got money to spend. You have to throw the Washington Commanders in this as far as a team that could possibly get in the mix on this. They got money to spend. They're going to do something. Like, we keep talking about, like, Joe Burrow and, like, whether they're going to keep Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. Don't be shocked if T goes to Washington. Just don't be surprised if T. Higgins goes to Washington. And then Terry McLaurin and T. Higgins are going to be terrorizing the NFC for some years to come. So just don't be shocked. And then of course San Fran. I think San Fran is going to make a comeback next year, depending on. Me personally, I think they're going to get Joey Bosa. I just think it makes all the sense in the world. Having Joey come in there, going to San Fran, joining his brother, joining Nick. I think it only makes sense in the world. I personally think they're going to go that route, and they're going to bring Joey Bosa in. But that's just my humble opinion as far as that goes. But even the teams that are, like, if you want to say, like, mid tier, like your Tampa's still going to be around. Atlanta's going to be around. You look at, like, you don't know. Minnesota's like one of those teams you're looking at to see what they're going to do after the year they had. Look at Chicago getting Ben Johnson. You kind of got to look at to see what they're going to be like next year. And then of course, even in and then you got Seattle and other teams like Seattle and Arizona. You don't know what they're going to be like, but they were pushing. They were pushing as far as, like, the division title, and ultimately the Rams ended up winning it. And then didn't even talk about the Rams. They won the NFC West last year. So it's like there are going to be a bunch of teams around, like, competing for playoff spots and could potentially make a run if things don't go their way. But do I think they can repeat? Yeah, because I do think they are still they're the deepest team in the NFC. I think they're the deepest team in the NFC. And it's the defensive side of the ball. It's the defensive side of the ball. They have a system in place. They have a system in place on their defense. They're just deep particularly that front seven. And I think they're going to go in as at least the NFC favorites. They're going to go in as the NFC favorites, and definitely deservedly so. The way they showed up the second half of the season, and basically now we can say one of the better playoff runs we've seen in a while. I mean, the closest game they played was that game really against the LA Rams when, you know, I've argued Matthew Stafford is in that 5 to 7 range as far as quarterbacking in the league. I think he's definitely still in that. He's in that 6 to 8 range as far as, like, you know, being a top 10 quarterback in the league, still being really good even at his age. Whoever trades for him, boy, I'm definitely going to be intrigued because somebody's going to trade for him. I'm intrigued to see where he goes, like, just and what they do to build around him, or if he's just the final piece for a team to ultimately get them to the playoffs and make a run, because there's a couple of teams that I have in mind that could really use a Matthew Stafford, and it makes pretty good sense. I'm looking at you, Pittsburgh. Just throwing it out there.
Hey, no problem. Hey, look, before we get into death of a dynasty, I have to ask y'all this, because real quick. Well, it's not going to be real quick. So let's just get that out of our head. Is Jalen Hurts the greatest Eagle of all time?
No.
Ooh, nah, not yet. Not yet.
No. I think it's too many great Eagles players in order to put him in as the greatest Eagle of all time. Because when you think about the Philadelphia Eagles, the first person you think about is Chuck McNair. That's the first person who you think about is Chuck McNair. Then right after that, you got to think about Reggie White, then Norm Van Brocklin. Then the list just goes on and on and on. It just goes on and on and on. It's just like you got to think about Reggie White. You got to think about Seth Joyner, Brian Dawkins, Jeremiah Trotter, Hugh Douglas. I mean, God rest his soul, Jerome Brown. You know, Mike Quick, Harold Carmichael, Randall Cunningham. Now, I do think he's the greatest Eagles quarterback of all time. I really do. I really think he's the greatest Eagles quarterback of all time because, you know, I think he's better than Donovan because I'm just going to be real. People always complain about, oh, yeah, well, he never had a wide receiver. But the reality of the situation is once he got T.O., I think if he could have made that work, that could have been great. But on the outside of that, he did have a top defense for years. Because when people talk about Steve Magnolia's, I can't say his name for that.
Steve Spagnuolo.
Steve Spagnuolo's defense, that was nothing compared to Jimmy Johnston's defense. Jimmy Johnston's defense was top tier. So, I mean, I think he's better than Donovan. I think he's better than Randall. And
yeah,
I think he's better than Randall. I don't think people are going to mention Norm Van Brocklin simply because of how long ago it was and how brief.
That's the only name when you said he's the best Eagle quarterback. I went, yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah.
People talk about Norm Van Brocklin.
Best Eagle quarterback. You got to throw Ron Jaworski in there too, though.
Yeah, Jaws.
Yeah.
His name is not Jaworski; it's Jaws.
Oh, whatever. I know we know him as Jaws, but I'm just saying.
Jaws. I ain't never called him by his name. Oh, that's Jaws. So, but I think he's the best Eagles quarterback of all time. And I think he's above Randall and all those guys because guess what? They had great teams around them, but they couldn't seem to get over that hump. So I really do think he's the greatest Eagles quarterback of all time. And I think right behind him is Norm Van Brocklin. So you got to put Van Brocklin up there. But as far as being the greatest Eagle of all time, I think that goes to Chuck McNair. And then right after that, I think Reggie White. What do y'all think, man?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you could either switch Reggie and Chuck McNair, and I don't think you'd have. I think you can make a case for both as the best Eagle of all time. I think if he wins another one,
yeah.
I
think if he wins another one, I think it's a no-brainer at that point.
I think it's a no-brainer at that point. Yeah, I agree. That's the thing. If he If he wins another one, then yeah, I think he surpasses Reggie and Bednarik. I don't think he's the greatest Eagle of all time.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. And like I said, you got to think about guys from yesteryear, and yeah, you got to think about that. I think this is the greatest Eagles team. However, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. I don't think this is necessarily the greatest Eagles defense I've ever seen. This is not the greatest Eagles defense.
That's not a ridiculous thing to say, because them teams they had in the 80s with Reggie.
Yeah,
boy.
I mean, like Reggie had what, like 21 sacks in
12 games.
In 12 games or something.
Yeah, he was out there knocking the crap out of people.
Like, I don't think people realize how good that defense was. Like, led by Buddy Ryan. Like, yeah, I remember Buddy Ryan was the 85 Bears defensive coordinator, and then he went to the Eagles with a guy like Reggie White. Like, I will say this. I think that Eagles defensive performance is one of the greatest of all time that we've ever seen, especially in a high profile game.
Was it better than Tampa's?
What?
Was it better than Tampa's in 2002?
I think the greatest is the greatest. If we're looking at defensive performances, I'm looking at 85 Bears. I'm looking at 2013 Seahawks. I'm looking at 2002 Bucks. 2000 Baltimore.
83 Raiders.
Yeah, definitely them. It's definitely like a.
So
I don't know. I can't. It's in that 7 to. It's like a top. It's definitely a top 10 Super Bowl defensive performance ever. It's definitely top 10.
Higher than top 10. Because I actually look at that 2002 Tampa one. They had a cheat code. They literally had the former head coach of the team they were playing in the Super Bowl that literally created that offense.
I mean, if you're dumb enough to trade your coach to somebody who you already know is a Super Bowl contender, go ahead and have at it.
I'm just saying. No, I agree.
What's so funny about that? They got all of them doggone draft picks and didn't do anything with
them. No.
You idiot.
Yeah. So I kind of knocked that performance down a peg just because of that. But yeah, I look at the Seattle one. The 2013 Seattle one is huge because that was against the greatest offense, well, quote unquote, the greatest offense of all time, and one of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time in Peyton Manning. And they made them look at 8 points. Yeah, I wouldn't even say human. They made them look like toddlers. So I would honestly say that and if you look at that 85 Bear performance in the Super Bowl, that New England Patriot offense was, I mean, if for some odd reason, if Miami doesn't crap the bed in that AFC title game, I think we have a very different Super Bowl 25 or 20 than we did against, when it was the Patriots in that game. I would argue that's a top that the Eagles' performance was like a top 3 defensive performance. Because I also think that even though the New England almost won that game, the Giants against the 07 undefeated Patriots, that's up there as well too. What Strahan and Umenyiora and Justin Tuck did in that game was
that was heat.
Yeah, that was heat. Brady didn't get punished the way Mahomes did, but it wasn't pretty to watch. I'll say that. I would say another great performance would be, even though they almost lost this game too, but the 2015 Denver Broncos against the Patriots in the AFC title game.
Yeah.
Even more so, I've never seen Brady get killed more than that game. And mind you, they still almost won.
What's so funny about that? They had the 2 greatest pass rushers of arguably of this generation. You had DeMarcus Ware on one side And Von Miller, I'd have boo-booed in my pants 3-4 times during the game if I'd have had to face that. I'm just
and the goat almost pulled it off. And if you would have seen Gronk in the corner on that 2-point conversion, they tie the game. That game goes into overtime, and I almost guarantee that they win that game. And as another thing, that was on their way to a three-peat.
Yeah. Them coordination games are something else, man.
Yep.
Like I said, but I don't think Jalen Hurts is the greatest Eagle of all time. I think you got to put Chuck McNarick up there, and then Reggie White, and then some other players. But he's not the greatest of all time.
He's creeping there, though.
Yeah, he's creeping there, and people got to realize this. And I don't think this is a conversation that people want to have. There's a difference between the greatest in a franchise of all time and the most important of all time. There's a huge difference. There's a huge difference between the greatest of all time and the most important of all time.
100%.
And I think Jalen Hurts is the most important. He's one of the most important players that in modern times, as far as Philadelphia is concerned.
Okay.
So, but I got to give him that. Anything you want to add, BRL, before we move on?
Oh, no. Y'all pretty much touched a lot of that on the head. I pretty much kind of concur everything what y'all said as far as like him being the greatest Eagle of all time. I definitely think he's the greatest quarterback in the history of that franchise. I don't think that's questioned anymore. But you got Big Narick, you got Reggie White. I think to a lesser extent for what he did for the Eagles in like the 2000s. I think you could put. I think personally you could put Brian Dawkins up there as well.
Yeah.
So you could put Weapon X up there too. So but yeah, I definitely agree. He's definitely the greatest Eagle quarterback of all time. He stamped that with that Super Bowl performance. He stamped that.
Funny thing about Brian Dawkins before you moved on, I tried to watch film on him and tried, when he was mic'd up. That guy never cursed. That guy never cursed. He never cursed. And that's amazing. That is amazing because it's kind of hard not to use profanity in general, but when you're playing a high intensity game like football, for you not to be cursing and clowning and keeping your values on that field, that is amazing. That has to be commended.
It makes him even more scary, frightening too as a player. The fact that he ain't got to cuss you out to kill you, it makes him even more frightening.
Yeah, that is. Funniest thing about that, him nor Reggie White cursed in the game. So there was a lot of things that was said about Reggie, but I'll never forget Doug Williams, the great Doug Williams said, every time he would hit you, he would like, and then he'll pick you up. He said, "You all right?" He said, "Well, bless you then." He'll pick you back up, and he'll go behind the line and try to come back, bless you again. So that was the greatest thing. And the only person that ever made Reggie White bad was Phil Simms, and I think he sacked them about 4 times in a game and tried to kill Phil Simms out there. So that was the only person that ever made Reggie bad that was documented was Phil Simms because he was cursing at him on one game. So
I take no, because as a Packer fan, I watched Reggie deal with Eric Williams. Eric Williams got that dude pissed.
Oh yeah,
Eric Williams did some of the most Eric Williams drove Reggie crazy.
Yeah, because I used to do a little trick in high school back when I played. He'll drive you up, then he'll hit you in the stomach. That's what Eric Williams used to do. No, I'm serious. He would drive
No, I am not doing that for what you just said. I'm watching the slam dunk contest, and Matt McClung just jumped over a car to snatch the ball out of somebody was sitting in the car, was holding the ball up like this for him to come and get it. He jumps over the car, over the dude, snatches the ball out of his hands, and hits a backwards dunk.
Wow. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
He legit. Good God, man.
That was smooth.
That's insane.
But Giannis excited. Why that crowd look like the varsity players would going to go see the JV because everybody got their varsity jackets on.
That's crazy.
That is crazy, man. That is crazy. That is crazy. But
okay, all right. Move on. My bad. That just whoa.
Yeah, Eric Williams used to do that whole trick. Like I said, because they taught us that. Coach Liesendahl taught us that in high school. You come up, then you hit the guy in the stomach. Hit the guy in the stomach one good time.
It's not in the stomach; it's right underneath the ribs to knock the wind out of him.
Yeah, not him, and you gonna get mad because you know how you don't get a lot of once you get hit in the stomach, you don't get a lot of recovery time.
No.
So Eric Williams, man. If he doesn't get into that car accident, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed.
Yeah, if he doesn't get into that car accident. But, I mean, he came back next year, and plus he came back next year. Can you imagine him at full strength with Larry Allen on the same side? Because remember, throughout his career, he wasn't at full strength anymore. He was not the same. No. He was still serviceable, but he was not the same. So –
I think Larry Allen's the greatest offensive guard in the history of the league, but that's just my opinion.
Oh, I don't even think that's really much of an argument.
That man was just whew.
Over John Hanna?
Yeah, I'm taking Larry Allen over everybody.
Yeah. Prime beef. That dude could bench press 700 pounds. That is amazing.
Like one of the coolest before we move on real quick, one of the coolest things I would ever see would be like the Pro Bowl skills challenge when it was actually like relevant and they would do when they were doing all like the bench presses and all this stuff. This man would throw up 225 pounds like he just eating, like it just nothing to it. He'd hit it like 40 times like it ain't nothing. I'm just like, how do you go against these guys, the defensive linemen? Like, how do you get past him?
I don't think the greatest thing I ever saw Larry Allen do was that interception rundown.
Yeah.
That is the most insane thing I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah. That's the Don Beebe play, right?
No, that's doing the interception.
No. That was the which one are you talking about?
So back in 1994, Aikman threw a pick to hold on. Throws a pick to it's against the Saints, and one of their linebackers picks it off. And he has and Larry Allen runs him down and tackles him on the sidelines. It is one of the most athletic plays I have ever seen in my life. To have an offensive lineman, it's just that shouldn't be physically possible. So you want to go see something? Just Google on YouTube or just go on YouTube and type in Larry Allen chases down interception. A man that size should not be able to move that fast, and it will put to shame anything that LeBron James has done athletically. Like it's inhuman. So just go watch it. It's insane.
Quick question. Quick question. While we're on certain subjects. So looking at television, just came across the ticker that Tom Izzo just passed the great Bobby Knight, God rest his soul, in most wins. What do you guys think about that, real quick?
I've always been a fan of Tom Izzo. I've always been a fan of his. Like when you got you got the Mike Krzyzewski's of the world. You got the Dean Smiths, the Roy Williams of the world. If you want to throw Bobby Knight in there, of course, John Wooden and UCLA. Come on, man. As far as the greatest coaches of all time, Tom Izzo has to be in this conversation. And I feel like he's like the most underrated of all of them, just because it's Michigan State, and like you don't always necessarily think about Michigan State being like an athletic powerhouse of a school like that, but they've always been around in basketball. So seeing him set that record, shout out to Tom Izzo. He might be the most underrated, historically great coach college basketball's ever seen.
Oh yeah, he's basically a guaranteed Sweet 16 almost every year.
Exactly.
That's not something. No, and that's the thing. I think you're right. He is when it comes to great college coaches in general or great coaches in general, he's never mentioned, and I have no idea why.
I don't either.
Well, to be fair, I'm just gonna be real because back when college basketball was worth its salt, And I'm just gonna be real. Back when I was younger, shout out to my pops. I hope you watching tonight. I remember during the middle of the week, during an NC2 wave basketball game in the Big East, the world stopped. I remember that. And it's kind of hard for me to put him over guys like John Thompson. It's kind of hard for me to put him over guys like Bobby Knight. It's kind of hard to put him over guys like Jim Boeheim. It's kind of hard to put him over guys like, Coach K, arguably one of the greatest of all time. It's kind of hard for me to put him over Roy Williams and Dean Smith. It's kind of hard for me to put him over those guys, those legendary names that you put in there. Granted, he's great. It's kind of hard for me to put him over that. Although he just surpassed Bobby Knight, I said this on media occasion. If I would have played basketball and would have been good at it, Indiana would have been the first school I would have went to. Because, hey, at least I knew, number one, I was going to have structure around me. And number two, I knew I was going to graduate. Because leaving my house, it was kind of like, Bobby Knight. It's like it's structure. I knew I was going to have structure. So if I would have played basketball, I'd have played for Bobby Knight. And I'd have had the blessing of my father because he knew that I would have stayed in line. I wouldn't have veered off course. So although he just passed Bobby Knight, it's hard for me to put him over Bobby Knight. And that's just the men's side of things. That ain't even the cool, on the women's side. Pat Summit, those cats. So it's kind of hard for me to put him up there on that super echelons of great coach. Hell, it's hard for me to put him over Nolan Richardson.
Boy, don't you do that. Don't you? No. I ain't letting you get away with that one. No. Seriously? I love Nolan Richardson, but you got to look at sustained success. Tom Izzo blows Nolan Richardson out the water when it comes to sustained success. I ain't letting you get away with that one. Yeah. No, sir.
We're going to revisit that conversation.
No.
That was I was letting a couple of those slide in general. And then
you would take Tom Izzo over Dean Smith.
No, but No, but to say that he's not like better than Pat
Summitt. He's in the top 10 college head coaches of all time. He's in the discussion.
No, I'm not saying. I said it's hard. This is just me speaking from my own perspective. It's hard for me to put him over the legendary bunch.
But he's in that next tier. But he's in that next tier.
Yeah.
He's in the I hear what you. Yeah, I'm not putting him over. I'm not putting him over Krzyzewski. I'm not putting him over Smith.
Would you put him over Tark?
Yes, I'm putting him over Tark.
Yeah. Dude, like there's basically
I'm putting him over Tark.
Like Coach K, probably Dean Smith,
Roy Williams.
Roy Williams is actually a debate when you think about it.
Yeah, and then who's the UCLA coach back in the 50s and 60s?
Wooden for me is like top 2 or 3. He's never leaving top 2 or 3.
To me,
he's not leaving that.
Look, all right, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get some blowback probably. It's an argument with him and Dean Smith too.
You talking about Izzo and Dean Smith?
Yeah.
I think it's a discussion.
I think Dean Smith is Dean Smith. But to what BRF said, is Izzo underrated because it's Michigan State, not North Carolina?
Exactly. You have to look at it's the talent that have come through a lot of these schools with these great coaches. You look at Mike Krzyzewski, you could put big time NBA names to his resume. Same thing with Bobby Knight. Same thing with John Wooden. A lot of these, same thing with Jim Boeheim. The biggest name you can put to Tom Izzo is who arguably Draymond Green.
So, quick question. I have to ask you this. Do you think, and this is just me being an old school savant, do you think if Tom Izzo was in the Big East or, let's say the ACC right about now, do you think that name would have been a lot bigger versus him being
With the same success, absolutely.
Okay. We're gonna revisit this in a later time, especially right during March Madness. We're gonna have, the top coaches of all time for that. So we gonna get that. We gonna get to it. So this is a topic that I have been avoiding. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of been stalling throughout the show in order to get to, because guess what? I know y'all finna go. I know y'all got a lot to say about this. I know y'all got a lot to say about this. This is something that is just kind of crazy for me. So I will say this, and this is what I'm just gonna ask right now, real quick. I just, like I said, I've been very, very hesitant. Is Jalen Hurts top 5 in the league?
No.
Y'all have the floor.
I'll let you go first.
For it, to be honest, the top 4 is in stone. It's Mahomes, it's Allen, it's Jackson, it's Burrow. then when you go into that 5 to 10 talk, I think if you're looking at talent and consistency, I still think Herbert's 5. Honestly, when you look at, if you want to look at the career and the success, Stafford's in the conversation. I think we're looking at in the conversation. I'm not putting a 5 on anybody. Me personally, well, I'm just talking right now. Let's see. Herbert's in the conversation. Stafford's in the conversation. Lord, when you look at the resume, I don't know. Now when you think about it, dude, I don't know. The resume's kind of there.
I looked up a list of the quarterbacks. Now, this was an article this is January 9th of 2025. This is last month. Jalen Hurts in this ranking is the 16th best quarterback in the league.
That's laughable.
This is on NFL.com, by the way. Go ahead. What's up?
Time out. If you would not mind, could you read the people that list, if you don't mind?
Yes, I will. So this is for this season. Okay. So let's I want to clarify this. This is like a power ranking for the 2024 season. Okay. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Geno Smith, Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy, Bryce Young, Kyler Murray, and then finally Jalen Hurts.
You know what? And that's on NFL.com.
Whoa. Did you just read that 1 to 16?
Yeah.
Get the Bryce Young.
Yeah.
We'll move on from there, because that was written by NFL.com. That was written by NFL.
It's a power ranking. I can send the link later. It's a power ranking.
Yeah, when was it done?
January 9th, 2025.
Yeah, just a month ago.
Oh, this is current.
Yeah. So
it's still crazy.
Still crazy. I just want to say, though, when I look at this list, the guys that I would take over him would be Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes,
Herbert.
No.
Would you take Herbert?
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking.
No, I don't. Yeah.
I'm not telling you that.
No, I don't think so. I don't.
Herbert is a stats guy. I love Justin Herbert. I'm waiting for him, for the team, the winning to start happening. I mean, right now, as much as I love my Green Bay Packers, I'm not taking Jordan Love over Jalen Hurts right now. I'm not. I think Matthew Stafford is an argument.
I think it's the only argument.
Right now, it's an argument. Like on today, on February 15th or whatever, it's an argument. I'm not taking Brock Purdy over him. I'm not taking Kyler Murray over him. I'm not taking Tua over him. I'm not taking CJ Stroud over him. I honestly think he's top 5. I honestly would debate, if you asked me right now and if held a gun to my head, who would I take, Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts? I'd probably say Jalen Hurts.
Went from the winning side of things, like from as far as putting up the numbers and winning. Yes, yeah.
He has gone into 2 Super Bowls against the best quarterback in the league and one of the best defensive coordinators of all time. Outplayed the quarterback both times, and honestly, probably would have won the first game if it wasn't for that stupid ref call at the end with the offensive pass interference or whatever, or defensive. I forgot what the call was, but outplayed him in both games. Is not a choker at all. Shows up in the playoffs when it means the most, and that's what I want out of my quarterback. Lamar Jackson can put up all the points he wants. It's the thing that I harped on it when we were going into the playoffs. You got to win. If you're going to be the guy, then you need to win in the playoffs. You need to perform at least, or at least make it hard for me to go, yeah, dude, you played the best you could, but something happened. But he's not making that argument for me. So I look at Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, and I go, who would, if I asked you, put bluntly, if you're going into a game against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, even take out what the Eagles defense did there, would you feel more comfortable with Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts?
I will say I have to say Jalen Hurts.
I have to say Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, especially because the thing is, if you put, and I hate to say it because I'm a Lamar fan, but if you take Jalen on and put him on the Baltimore Ravens, I think he performs just as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you think about this. Lamar not only had one of the best historic defenses, he had that last year. And then he turned right back around this year, had one of the most historic offenses in the league. I think it was the first offense to rush for over 3,000 yards. First offense to rush for over 3,000 yards. So, yeah. I mean, and overall, the offense had almost 7,000 yards of total offense, breaking certain records. So, if you do, when you think about the teams that Lamar has been on, and hasn't made it to the Super Bowl as of yet, much less win it. And you think about Jalen Hurts at this point, and he's had those teams that have performed, then you have to take Jalen Hurts over Lamar. And this is just strictly about winning. It's not about stats. It's about winning. It's about winning football games. Who are you going to take in order to win? And that's got to be Jalen Hurts at this point. And like I said, I hate to say that because Lamar is one of the more dynamic quarterbacks we've seen. But you got to go with who's winning at this point. So, and funny thing about that, Jalen Hurts' story is not just one story, not just a story of a Super Bowl champion, of him, quote unquote, completing his story. It's an underdog story. He wasn't even supposed to be the starter. It was Carson Wentz. It was Carson Wentz.
And the guy that, and look, it's as a Tom Brady guy, is somebody that kept getting told no constantly in his college career. And at every other turn, dude, what Jalen Hurts has done in his college career and now in the pros,
yeah,
dude, like right now, he's top 5 because there's not a lot of quarterbacks. Like I'm taking Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, and I think it's an argument with him and Lamar, and with me, I'm taking Jalen, and then after that,
you can put anybody where you want to put him.
Yeah, after that,
that's just the bottom line
argument. Where anybody else after that is a legit argument. It's just not. It just isn't right now. I mean,
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think. Yeah, looking at it and really analyzing it, yeah, he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. He is. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league. You can't look at because it's like sometimes it's like we try to find something to nitpick these guys on, And honestly, there's really nothing you could. Okay, the collapse last year. That's really all you got.
Yeah, it is an argument with Lamar. It is.
Yeah,
tell me why it's not.
That's an argument. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Jalen. Like, no. What I'm talking about, like, is like, no. This is what I'm talking about. Like, what I'm talking about is like,
no,
you know how
you're talking about Leaf.
Leaf made a comment. I was talking about you. Leaf made a comment.
Okay. I see the comment. Yeah, I mean, it kind of. I mean, from just a stats perspective, from a peak perspective, has Jalen Hurts peaked to the level of Lamar Jackson? No. But if you're just looking at the winning perspective, he's got two NFC championships. He now has a Super Bowl appearance. I mean, he hasn't peaked like Lamar Jackson, but I mean, he's put up really good numbers. I mean, he has 3 Pro Bowls.
Capable of doing what Lamar does. He just doesn't need
and I got and the guy that I was talking with on TikTok trying to say Jalen Hurts is the second best quarterback in the league. I'm not ready to go that far yet, but I mean, Jalen Hurts in his last 5 starts against the AFC's Big Four, he has won every one of them. I mean, he's just about won every one of them. I think he has won every one of them. His last 5 starts against the Big Four and AFC quarterbacks. He's 5-0. He's 5-0.
He was an MVP candidate back during his first Super Bowl appearance back in
that first Super Bowl run. He was an MVP candidate.
Like everybody thinks that there shouldn't be an argument. I know everybody's in love with Lamar Jackson, but I'm sorry, but there's no compelling argument to me where you couldn't say that that's a legit argument that you would take Jalen Hurts over Lamar Jackson. I don't think there's an argument right now because honestly, they're built on very similar teams.
Yeah.
And when you think about
the talent pool, like I said, the thing is, people are going to give Jalen Hurts flack for having a great team. They're going to give him flack for having a great team. But the thing
that's stupid though. That's stupid though.
And I'm getting to that. And it's like I just said earlier. If everybody could win with great teams, anybody would. Like I said, Lamar just last year had a historic defense. Won MVP, got to the AFC Championship. It was not able to win. So turn around, flash forward this year. Okay, we're going to run it back with this defense. And on top of that, we're going to give you Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers is going to come into his own, and we're going to run it back like that. You're going to set historic records on the offensive side of the ball, and I'm looking it up right now to see what that defense was looking like because, as far as on paper, I would say, because at times it would give up the big play. But we're going to run it back with that defense. We're going to give you Todd Monken. We're going to give you some historic things in order to do, and we're going to run it back. And that defense, I'm looking it up right now. I'm personally checking the stats. Bear with
and
me.
Throwing the fact that Rashad Bateman started to finally look like a beast the second half of the season.
Yes, indeed. And that defense at this point, their offense was 3rd in the league. That defense was 9. So guess what? It was top 10 in points given up. So you had a top tier offense. You had an MVP caliber season. Your running back, your running back could have won MVP. The first running back to ever go for not over 1,900 yards and not win the rushing title. So, I mean, Lamar had just as much talent, if not more, than Jalen. He had just as much. The team had 9 Pro Bowlers on that team, 6 All-Pro.
It's an argument.
So it's an argument that you can make.
In fact, I don't even think it's an argument right now. I think the pick is Jalen Hurts.
So
I just do. He's performing.
It's about winning. It's about winning.
It's about winning. At the end of the day, it's about winning. And I think part of it is you saw all that Eagles drama going on with AJ Brown, and then the Nick Sirianni thing, the locker room's falling apart, and blah blah blah, and everybody just kind of crapped on them. And I'm sitting, and again, everybody's like, fire Nick Sirianni, and I'm sitting there just going like, again, it's the overreaction to everything. And I'm like, this is still one of the deepest rosters in the league. Like, the only thing they really lost is Jason Kelce. They've added Jalen Carter. They
added one of the, and like I said, when you think about adding one of the best backs in the league, Baltimore and the Philadelphia Eagles added the best back in the league. And the thing was, the year before that, the San Francisco 49ers added the best back in the league when you talk about Run CMC. So it goes back to what I said. If anybody could win with that talent on that Philadelphia Eagles team, Lamar and Brock Purdy would have. Because their team was just loaded.
Exactly. And I gotta say this too. How ironic is this? All the time we were talking about, okay, we're finally waiting for that rival for Patrick Mahomes to show up. And it was always Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. How fitting Jalen Hurts comes out of nowhere and basically humbles Patrick Mahomes on the biggest stage of them all. And in both Super Bowl games against him has basically outshined him in both games. How fitting is someone like Jalen Hurts coming out of nowhere, actually giving Patrick Mahomes a rival? How fitting is that?
He was the rival for our Georgia Bulldogs for years, with a thorn in our side. And look, let's not underestimate his Oklahoma year. Let's not underestimate that year, because that year he was lights out.
Yeah.
That year was lights out.
Dude, I think it's an easy answer. I think he's top 5 quarterback in the league. In fact, I'd argue he's top 4.
So,
I mean, if you want to change the conversation to say, like, who would I start my franchise with? Like, that's a different conversation. But if we're just talking best quarterback in the league, yeah, he's definitely top 5. Absolutely. In fact, I think he's top 4.
All right. I got a quick question I got to ask y'all real quick before we move to the proceeding this evening. I forgot to put this on the board, but I'm going to minimize that. And I'm going to ask y'all this question right here. Is this the last that we've seen of the Kansas City Dynasty?
No.
Flash, y'all have to get BRF, y'all have the floor.
Flash takes this one first because I know he's chomping at the bit on this one.
No. Look, I hate the Chiefs. I hate Taylor Swift. I think Travis Kelce is a wash tight end at this point. No. At the end of the day, they still have Andy Reid. They still have Steve Spagnuolo. They have a great franchise up and down, and they have Patrick Mahomes at the end of the day. He's 29 years old. He hasn't even hit 30 yet. So do I think this dynasty is done? No, I don't think this or is this franchise dead? No. as long as Mahomes is healthy and Andy Reid's still coaching, they're going to hover around. Tell me that they're not the favorite to win the division next year. Of course they are. Like, they're still the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, I know they just got their butt whooped in the Super Bowl, but I will say this: if they do fall apart as a franchise, then that's pretty weak, like, mentally and emotionally. Like, it is. Like, I don't expect them to go and win the Super Bowl next year. Like, I don't. I think they're tired and gassed out and stuff like that. But we still got another 5-6 years of Mahomes. Now, I will say one thing, though. One thing, not two things, one thing. I will say one thing, though. He didn't have a good year.
Mm-mm.
He did not have a good year. He didn't have a bad year. He didn't have a good year. At least Mahomes level. He had 26 touchdowns and 11 picks. Didn't even reach 4,000 yards. What?
He didn't have a Mahomes-esque year.
No. So, and that offense, we never really saw it get into any kind of rhythm, which that's the only thing that kind of scares me a little bit, is that you do have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and you couldn't get that offense to, like, it just seemed like it was stuck in molasses all year. Like, they just couldn't get, no matter what pieces they added. Like, they brought in Kareem Hunt, and the running game looked good for a while, and then it just, I don't know, everything just was weird. But do I think they're going anywhere? No, I don't think so. I unless, like, Andy Reid retires and all that kind of stuff, and then, then yes. But they can retool, and players are still going to want to go there because it is Patrick Mahomes. Like, fine.
Yeah, Dynasty. It's not over. I mean, this is kind of this is a setback for him. It could be something. It could be something that the players personally on a personal level probably could have needed, didn't want, but maybe it could do them better in the long run because the energy, like what Flash was saying, like the energy wasn't there. Like it's been it was a different feel from them, and you could see it like early, like undisciplined, like dropping passes, like and just getting gashed, and they're not necessarily like, and they were doing a great job with Saquon, but Jalen, it was Jalen Hurts and the passing game, and it wasn't like deep passes. It was just more along the lines of just being accurate and just taking what they gave them, but they were just able to make the most out of their opportunities. I definitely don't.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. That's exactly what Philly did to KC. It was death of 1,000 paper cuts. I mean, just like every chance they get, they nick them here, they nick them there, they nick them there, and then it was just to the point where they finally just bled out and they just had enough. But I don't think Kansas City's over by a long shot. I don't think they're over. I think they're still going to be in contention. They'll probably still going to be one of the favorites out of the AFC to get there, and they should be. Yeah, long as you got that nucleus, as long as you have that membrane, all great dynasties, franchises, they have that nucleus, they have that membrane. That as long as you have them, and as long as they don't die out, they're not going anywhere. And that membrane is Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. As long as you have that quarterback coach membrane, that nucleus, they're not going to go. They're going to be around. Then the team. It's just a matter of how the team is going to change going into 2025. I honestly, with the story I see as far as KC giving Travis Kelce an ultimatum to decide whether he wants to go back with the team next year, I honestly don't see him coming back. But I mean,
I don't think he should. He's a shell of. He's not even the guy that like you can depend on third down anymore. Like
I wouldn't blame him at all for not coming back. But at the same time, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs. You look at a Noah Gray. He's an athletic freak. He's an athletic freak of nature. I think he could come in, start right off the bat and put up numbers because he gives you the athleticism that Travis Kelce doesn't really have like he did in his prime. He gives you that athleticism, the ability to run routes, the ability to make catches. And I think Noah Gray is also, from what I've seen, shows a little bit better ability to block. So, I mean, you move right into Noah Gray, you let him start, and you go from there. And then it's just a matter of, like everything else, like the Rashee Rice situation, as far as, like, getting him back, what is he going to be like in 2025? Like, is Kareem Hunt? Are you going to keep Kareem Hunt? Are you going to keep that 1-2 punch of him and Pacheco? Like, there's just so many factors that are going to go into it. But I feel like if any franchise is made to handle these type of calls and these type of situations in order to retool and, try to bring them back to the promised land, it is the Kansas City Chiefs. I definitely have the utmost confidence in that front office because they've been doing it really since Patrick Mahomes got there. They've been doing it ever since. Ever since Patrick Mahomes became the starting quarterback, they have not made nothing less than the AFC Championship game.
I will say they got to go get a left tackle, though.
Agreed.
I love Joe Thuney. He's
moving back to his natural position. Move him back to his natural position.
He needs to go back to guard. Like that's the one thing. There's a couple things they do need to do, but yeah, they're going to get Rashee Rice back next year, as long as the dude's not in jail.
Right.
I'm just being honest. This is what it is. He almost screwed up his life. It's either he's in jail or he's playing football. One of the two.
No, you told the truth up just
but here's the thing, about that wide receiver core. The way Rashee Rice was looking before he got hurt, I think the core, if it's him, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy, much respect to DeAndre Hopkins. You're going into the Hall of Fame, brother. You are way scarier with Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy I think you're much scarier with the core of Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy at this point in DeAndre's career, as opposed to having him. So I think because
I just
they're not going anywhere.
I still think I would even keep Hopkins at this point. If you go into a season with next year with Rashid Rice and Hollywood Brown and Hopkins as your top three, and Worthy's your utility guy still, like he's your playmaker. He's the guy that you put in the backfield a little bit here. You put him in the slot. You got to move him around the chessboard to kind of create mismatches and keep. I think you can get one more year out of a DeAndre Hopkins, especially with an off season and in that offense under Andy Reid. I think you can get one more year out of him. Not like
a full training camp to get accustomed to that offense.
Yeah, so not, is he ever going to be DeAndre Hopkins again? No, but I'm just saying, like, you go into that season with those four weapons. You have Kareem Hunt and Pikachu. They'll be fine. Again, they go out and sign a Trent Williams, and that instantly changes that whole offensive line and that whole mentality. Like, they'll be fine. Everybody. Like the Chiefs and Taylor Swift, if Kelsey retires, then she's gone. But we haven't seen the last of them though.
Yeah, you ain't seen the last of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Everybody thought that the Patriots dynasty was dead multiple times.
Exactly.
They kept coming back like Freddy Krueger. So we got a long way to go.
Hey, look. Let's hope for the effects of the Kansas City. Let's hope for the effects for the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's hope they have the effect of the New England dynasty and not the San Francisco dynasty. Because remember,
don't get me wrong, I don't want this dynasty to be around. It just is going to be.
Yeah, like I said, I'm hoping for it to stay around, like so we can have that, that one team everybody's trying to knock off. It's always better when because everybody's trying to get their talent together in order to beat them.
Yeah,
so,
all sports are better. All sports are better when you have that one villain everybody's trying to chase. And right now it's the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. So I really believe let's hope for I'm hoping for the short-term effect of the long-term effect of the New England Patriots, not the San Francisco 49ers. Because remember, last time that team went for a three-peat, remember it was years before they went to the Super Bowl again. So yeah, it was years. So I mean, that they not only because Joe Montana left, but because they had to restructure. A lot of those guys, those great players. A lot of those great players started leaving. Ronnie Lott, Charles Haley. A lot of those guys started leaving. So yeah, it was crazy. But it's going to be interesting to see how this dynasty goes from here. I really think that they should. After this year, if the offense doesn't pick back up the way they need to strongly consider bringing back Eric Bieniemy, because I'll be for real, because Matt Nagy, it just doesn't. I saw this offense with Eric Bieniemy and it was crisp. With Matt Nagy, it's not as crisp as it was.
Yeah, but he wasn't even making the play calls though.
I understand that, but if you really look at the film, it was more crisp. It's not as crisp as it was without Eric Bieniemy there. It seems like it's been on a steady decline since he's been gone. Although they've been winning although they won Super Bowls, it seems like it's like if you really go and look at the numbers, it's like on a steady decline when you think about Patrick Mahomes' numbers. It's like a steady decline. I'm like. Because for him to throw in the 20s and touchdown, it's like that's not Patrick Mahomes-esque. It's like it's at least should be 30, but
it should be high 30s.
Yeah, so I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate right here. Like we one of the biggest themes that we talked about all year was the rise of the running back again in the running game in the NFL. So yes, the offense was stuck in. It looks stuck in molasses. It does. Do I think it's Eric Bieniemy? I don't know. I don't know what's wrong. I honestly, I don't know what it is. I guess at this point it wouldn't hurt to bring him back in the fold. And in fact, I mentioned it like weeks ago. I think it'd be good for his career to come back and kind of retool his career and kind of get back going again. Because if he does come back and that Chiefs offense kind of does look good again, then yeah, then it's like everybody's going to go like, well, was it him or what happened? So, you know,
hey, man, always good to have these great discussions, man. Let's move to some college basketball. So, as we all saw last night, I know, Flash, you didn't watch that game last night, so I'm going to ask BRF this question. We saw that game last night with JUJU Watkins versus UCLA, and you know how she's able to perform. Her stats is kind of up there at this point. So I got to ask you this question right here, because there's been a lot of discussions. And before people start saying, why compare? We compare to Michael Jordan, every other player that comes out of college. So every time somebody makes a damn dunk, we talk about, is he the next Michael Jordan? So people keep your undies on and don't put them over and don't put them on backwards. So I mean, let's just keep it on. Let's just keep it a buck. So I got to ask you this: is JUJU Watkins already better than Caitlin Clark?
I think she's more talented because she plays both sides of the floor a little better. But still, we also have to look at Caitlin Clark from just the impact she made as far as like being a playmaker, her scoring, her shooting. And that's why I don't want to. From a talent wise, I can see it because she's a good defender. I'm not saying Caitlin Clark's like a horrible defender, but I mean Caitlin Clark isn't the defender JUJU Watkins is. But even still, like the sustained level of elite play we got from Caitlin Clark when she was at Iowa, you know, that says something. That's saying something. So maybe more talented, but as far as better, we'll see as the year progresses, as long as they continue to keep doing what they're doing. I ain't ready to go that far because it's a matter of how they progress and, you know, continuing to play well and win, and, you know, potentially going into the Pac-12 and ultimately the NCAA tournament and just kind of seeing where they go. But I think from a talent perspective, it's there. Because she's definitely a scorer on the level, and then she brings it on the other side of the floor pretty well too. Talent wise, okay, but as far as just we'll see as far as like overall impact as we get into the high pressure point of the college basketball season, and just kind of see where it go.
All right, I will agree with you on that. I got to see a little bit more. And, you know, these last couple of games before that UCLA game, she had some lackluster games. They were not JUJU-esque, I will say. You know, they were not up there. So prior to that UCLA game, she was in kind of slump.
I'll say this though, with JUJU more than likely going pro after this season, like if Caitlin Clark is like the Larry Bird coming into the league, taking the league by storm, JUJU could be the Mike. Yep. We'll see.
Yeah, I love it, man.
All right.
Man, it's all good, man. Nature happens, man. So I would love to see that, man. And look, I know everybody, and I'm guilty of this. I am guilty. Everybody was kind of reaching for it to be Angel last year, the whole rivalry situation, because every time the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever played, the Raiders was like through the roof. But it's just time to acknowledge that certain narratives are kind of over at this point. It's like,
agreed.
It's not agreed point, and it's like, hey, you know, it's not a rivalry we were looking for. It's time to admit to ourselves that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark thing, it's not a rivalry. We were just looking for a narrative to keep us watching, you know, because Caitlin Clark alone, you know, wasn't enough.
What happened? And I said this with Flash. What I feel happened, there was legitimacy to it. What happened was after the Olympic break, where Angel Reese kind of regressed, Caitlin Clark got better. Yeah. And then so that's why we're kind of at this point where it's like, well, you know, there's not much of a conversation. At one point, yes, it was. But what happened was Caitlin Clark got way better, and Angel Reese kind of plateaued. So Caitlin Clark, it's more on the lines of Caitlin Clark held up her end of the bargain. Angel Reese just needs to hold up her end of the bargain, which in turn means she needs to really improve offensively, because until she improves offensively, she's just going to be stuck like a good player. She's not going to be great if she don't improve offensively.
Yeah, and luckily for her, she's working with Lisa Leslie at this point. And what's so funny about my bad, Flash? I mean, interrupt.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
And what's so funny about that? I mean, everybody was complaining, and my thing is, I am an Angel Reese fan, so everybody was complaining about, stop talking about her layups. But Lisa Leslie said the first thing we need to do is work on your layups, because I love the way that you're able to box out everybody and be on the defensive side, but we need to make you into a better scorer. So, I mean, I'm glad Lisa Leslie said that as well. And I'm glad that she was able to take that criticism and ask and not get defensive, because that's the sign of maturity at a certain point.
If you're gonna listen to a big, you're gonna listen to Lisa Leslie. I promise you that.
And that's the thing that I think my point was, is that I do think that there was a narrative that drove that. I think that part of it was increased because of Caitlin Clark's early season struggles. Yes. But when you really look at their skill sets, like it really shouldn't have been like when Angel Reese is coming out like early last year and saying, well, everybody's tuning in. They're not just tuning in to see Caitlin Clark, they're tuning in to see me too. It's like, not really. Like, yeah, there's some people, but like, let's make no mistake about this. And the numbers bear this out. When Caitlin Clark came to a city, that place was sold out. Like it, and don't get me wrong, like the ticket sales got way better in general for the WNBA as the year went on in general. But I just think like she's, I do like the maturity level. That's shown that her maturity level has gone up in the aspect of like, okay, if I want to be somebody or be something or be great, I need to be able to be better. And she does need to be better on the offensive side of the ball. I just, we do this to ourselves. We fed into it too. We all look for that narrative. We said it was Magic versus Bird, in that aspect. And and that's okay that everybody does that. I just think looking back on it, I hindsight being 2020, I think it was more of a narrative than it really was based in.
And you got to think about a lot of this, and I'm just gonna say it. You got to think a lot of fans on both sides of the spectrum who really want to see both of them fail, and they want to see them fail bad. It is just like, and that's what really increased the narrative. So, people, the college game, them both coming out, Caitlin getting off to a slow start, Angel getting off to a fast start, it was crazy. So, I mean, not to mention, I think the narrative even got better when she won Rookie of the Month. I was like, and even myself, I was like, I think Angel has a real shot to win this. One person to look out for next year, though, look out for Rickea Jackson, playing for the LA Sparks. Look out for her as well. She came in third in the MVP, not the MVP voting, but the Rookie of the Year voting. So look out for her, especially with Cameron Brink coming back and with Kelsey Plum going to that team. And so be on the lookout for the LA Sparks and Rickea Jackson. Keep an eye out for her. And that face card, do not decline, by the way. So
and look, and I gotta do it being a homer, but they've made some great moves. Look out for the Atlanta Dream next year. Brittany Griner and Brianna Jones, adding to Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray. That's gonna be a team.
Yeah, that's gonna be a team. And hey, I gotta make it to one of them games, especially when they play the Las Vegas Aces. And look out for I don't think this is being talked about enough. DeWanna Bonner DeWanna Bonner got signed by the
Indiana Fever.
So
they're gonna be scary. They're going to be scary.
You got Aaliyah Boston, DeWanna Bonner. They re-signed Kelsey Mitchell, and you got Caitlin Clark coming back.
Re-signing Kelsey Mitchell was the big one.
Yeah, and so they got the big four on the team, and not to mention, DeWanna Bonner was instrumental in getting them to the semifinals. So yeah, because the Connecticut Sun was one of the best defensive teams out there. So yeah, so look out for that. For them to decide to want a Bonner and don't be surprised if we're about 6 months from now we're looking at the Indiana Fever and they're WNBA champions. That's gonna start.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I honestly wouldn't be shocked at all.
That's gonna start up a whole nother conversation because I believe that, had it not been for Asia Wilson with that historic season that she was having, I think that Caitlin would have really stood a chance of winning that MVP last year.
But, I honestly think she does win it if Asia Wilson if she just wasn't the just preeminent dominant woman on the planet.
Who wins that MVP?
Caitlin Clark.
This year?
Oh yeah,
I think she wins it. I'm saying Caitlin Clark wins it if Asia Wilson just wasn't the preeminent, just baddest woman on the planet.
I mean, scored over 1,000 points. She was literally, because there was a lot of injuries on that Las Vegas Aces team was not looking good throughout the season. It was like, damn, y'all, this is your back-to-back champions. Like, damn, y'all ain't looking good. So she scored the first to score 1,000 points in the season. And you can make an argument she got robbed out of that Defensive Player of the Year award because
I'm telling you,
she ranked tops in every defensive category. So if it wasn't for her being just the baddest woman on the planet, it would have really been a whole nother conversation for Caitlin Clark, especially how she was able to guide that team into the playoffs, But let's get into some wrestling, in the great words of Ted Turner. Let's get into some wrestling. I have to ask y'all this question because y'all, and I put y'all two side by side for a reason, because y'all, out of all three of us, y'all are the two greatest minds when it comes to wrestling on this show. I'm just going to keep it real. Y'all know a hell of a lot more about the history. I watch wrestling. Y'all study wrestling. That's a huge difference, and I want the audience to know that. I watch wrestling. These guys study wrestling. So let's give these young men a chance to cook. So I got to ask y'all this, man. Y'all know how I feel about this one. This one hits home. Who do you think injured Jade Cargill?
I still think
you go first, Flash.
It's Bianca. It's Bianca or Naomi. It's one of the two. I don't think it was Liv at all. I think that's a complete red herring. One, Liv and Muscles are Big Mommy Diesel. They weren't even like a thing when that happened. So it doesn't make any sense. I think it's a red herring. I think it's Naomi or Bianca Belair, because I think Bianca Belair and Jade is the matchup you want. That's the matchup you want. Is it smells like the Triple H Shawn thing. It just does. And I don't think it's Liv, because I think Liv's next feud is Alexa Bliss. I think it's Alexa. I think it's Judgment Day and the Wyatt Six. So I don't know. I think it's Naomi. I think Naomi needs it more than Bianca Belair does. Naomi, in my opinion, needs a retooling a little bit. Like right now, she's just a funkadactyl girl. Like she's not her character. There's nothing to her character. She's the glow stick girl. She's really good in the ring. And she's not half bad at promos and being on the mic. She just needs to retool into the character a little bit. Like Naomi. I think Naomi needs it more than Bianca, but I think the goal is Bianca and Jade. So I think it's Bianca Belair that did it. That's it. And I think it's the narrative is going to be. I was tired of sharing the spotlight with this new young up and coming blah 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 blah, and I just whatever. And that's what I think. That's what I think it is. BRF.
I think you got the right idea with the Triple H feud. I think you got the wrong one.
Okay.
I think this feels like Triple H and Austin. And the reason why I say that, I think Bianca might have. I think Bianca told Naomi to do it, which is why we ultimately get the Bianca Jade matchup anyway. I think Bianca's the master. I think Naomi did it, but I think Bianca's the mastermind behind it.
You could kill two birds with one stone. You turn Naomi heel, and then you still get what you want in the end.
Yeah, exactly. You turn Naomi heel, and you still get the Bianca Jade matchup for WrestleMania. I personally think that would make for a lot more compelling storytelling if Bianca had Naomi do it. Because it's from the and the reason why I say that is because the seeds were already planted for Naomi to do it in the first place, because she sees she's been trying her hardest to win the WWE Women's Championship, and she couldn't get it done multiple times. She couldn't get it done, and then here comes Jade Cargill, rookie, immediately winning gold. So that's got to turn some gears in her head a little bit, and then it's like Jade gets put out the picture. Naomi gets the other tag team championship belt, but they got to kind of play the long game a little bit. So, show me that you, Bianca, show me that you deserve it. And then they go out, they have a banger match, they win. Bianca gives her the championship, and we just move from there. I think it feels more Triple H Austin with, Triple H getting Rikishi in the car, hitting Austin. Rikishi's the first one to come out and say, I did it for The Rock. I did it for The Rock. Exactly. One of the more infamous promo lines in the history of professional wrestling. And that was just an amazing line of storytelling, because it was the fact that Rikishi came out and admitted he did it, but then it wasn't even the biggest part of it. It was the fact that Triple H got him to do it, which was like even the craziest thing about it. I would do it that way.
I love your idea, actually, because it actually gives Bianca Belair even more depth to her character, which is what she desperately needs right now. Both her and Naomi need depth to her character right now, or to both of them. And that's so I love, man, you kill two birds with one stone, and that would be phenomenal storytelling if they actually do that. That would be great.
And then to top it all off with someone like, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Can you imagine a heel off the leash Bianca Belair? Bro.
Bro. Needs, yeah. I was at SummerSlam 2023 when it was her, Charlotte, and Asuka for the title, and she started to get stale then. She needs more depth to her character, and then doing this would give her great depth in retooling her a bit. I do think the fact that they're starting to reveal this now, I think their goal is WrestleMania for something.
I think Jade comes back at Elimination Chamber, and then she goes after who did it.
Is Bianca in the Elimination Chamber match?
Her and Naomi are.
Ooh. Okay.
I think she comes back at the Elimination Chamber, and whoever did it, she cost them.
Yeah.
And she says why she cost them on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah. I'm with you on that one.
We got what? Not next. Is it next Saturday? Elimination Chamber.
March 1st. It's March 1st.
March 1st. Okay.
Yeah.
It's March 1st. So we still got a couple of weeks.
Okay.
All right. So moving forward, like I said, the greatest two wrestling minds in podcasting. Thoughts on Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair?
I called it from the jump. I mean, I felt like this was the easy go route for me, was Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, and everybody's immediately coming to the conclusion, man, I can't believe they're gonna have Tiffany lose to Charlotte. I don't. I think they're gonna put Tiffany over.
I think so too. I wanted Rhea versus Charlotte again, just because I think that's that, but you know, another thing too is like everybody complained about Charlotte winning the Rumble, and it's like you don't understand wrestling at all when you say that, because literally they knew with all the promos that they led up to that Charlotte was coming back, and to have her just win it, everybody was going to boo the crap out of her. That was the goal.
That was a goal.
That was the point, is so you would hate it. So to establish that a returning champion, somebody like Charlotte Flair, because everybody that returns is usually a babyface right away, it immediately turns her heel, which sets up ascending Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania. And now on top of it, she's going to get the rub next week with Trish Stratus on top of it. We're going to get Trishy time. Yay. So,
we're gonna eliminate. No, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be. Yeah, I think. Well, elimination chamber is gonna.
Hometown. So
Oh yeah. It's gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be Trish and Tiffany against Nia and Candice. And I'm honestly here for that match. I think that's gonna be a good match.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping it brings another Trish summer run to close out her career. I've been. In fact, when I was in Cleveland for SummerSlam and I got to meet her, I asked if she was going to do another run or she was done. And she was very coy about it, of like, well, you know, if there's a storyline, the blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, you got something cooking here. Because I think she does one more run and then kind of officially ends her career. But when it comes to Tiffany and Charlotte, I love that Charlotte's heel, and I love that they're gonna ascend Tiffy. But yes, I don't think Charlotte goes over. I just don't. I would be shocked if you would bury Tiffany Stratton like that. I would be just shocked. Yeah, but I like it. We have two matches set so far for WrestleMania. We got this one, and then Jay versus Gunther.
Which country? Well, which was the right call? I mean, I see some people like, well, Jay should have challenged Cody. No, Jay versus Gunther is absolutely the right call, because there's already so much history built up between those two guys. It just made the most sense.
Yeah, I agree.
It just smells like they're literally rehashing Sammy versus Gunther. Oh, I came so close to beating you. You just give me one more chance, I can beat you. And it just seems rehashed. And I don't know. Maybe it's the Gunther thing that bothers me. I think he's gone stale, and I don't know what it is or why he's gone stale. I don't get it. I'm really curious. I don't know. I'm really curious what they're going to do still, because I don't know where they're going to go with this. Because I mean, who do they have Cody face?
Well, that's where we're going to get into the men's elimination chamber, and I'm going to give you my pick who I think is going to win.
Okay.
You know what? In my humble opinion, and this is my hottest take ever, I think Jacob is going to win the elimination chamber.
Who?
Jacob.
Oh, fuck.
He's not. He's not in it. He's not in it. He lost.
He lost.
Damian Priest won that triple threat.
Oh, Damian Priest won.
So right now it's Logan Paul, it's Drew McIntyre, it's Damian Priest, and we have
CM Punk and John Cena. CM Punk and John Cena.
We got one more slot, so which either presumably would go to Roman Reigns, or I think that's pretty much it. So, unless they're going to throw in like someone like AJ Styles in there or something like that, but I doubt that's the thing. It's probably going to be Roman, I would assume, right?
Either him or Seth.
That's Seth too, yeah. Okay, well, what's your prediction?
CM Punk's gonna win.
So you're in where you get Punk and Rhodes at WrestleMania.
I think CM Punk's gonna win, and I think it's gonna be CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. They've been teasing these two for months. They've been teasing them for months, and they ain't really came to blows like that yet. But they're teasing it. Hold on. John said that's the final. Oh, yep. Okay, there it is. Seth Rollins. Yeah, because Seth Rollins and Finn Balor's the last qualifying match. So Seth is definitely winning. It's definitely gonna be Seth. I think it's gonna be CM Punk. I think it's gonna be CM Punk.
I don't think Seth wins that.
No, I don't know. You think Finn wins?
I think Roman costs Seth the win.
I don't know. I don't know. I think Seth wins. I think he does.
Because what are you gonna have Roman if Punk wins the Elimination Chamber? What are you gonna have Roman do at WrestleMania?
Roman's gonna screw Seth at the Chamber, and you're gonna get Roman and Seth.
Yeah, but I think Roman screws him now. I don't think Seth gets it. I think Finn gets into the Elimination Chamber.
I don't know. I don't think you waste it now. I don't think you waste it now.
I don't know, man. Like, because we have to set up the Finn Balor turn from Judgment Day. Like, they're starting to tease that now. Of I'm going to take this team back or this faction back, and I'm going to win the title and blah 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 blah. Like, he's got to he's got to fail at. Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't know.
Either way, something's gonna happen at Elimination Chamber to really kickstart ultimately Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and honestly, it wouldn't. I don't know. One or two things are gonna happen. Either CM Punk's gonna win the Chamber. I think he's probably gonna win the Chamber because I see some people saying triple threat with Seth, Roman, and Punk. And me personally, I like it. I think it'll be a really good match, but I just think Roman and Seth is like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and I'm just gonna say it. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins is this generation's John Cena versus Randy Orton. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. Is this generation's John Cena and Randy Orton? Just the amount of matches they've had, but then the added, the Shield breakup, and then just all of the built up resentment that Roman still has for Seth after that. The only thing they haven't done is go against each other at WrestleMania in a true match. I mean, if you want to say WrestleMania 31, I'm talking like straight up, like real, like, going at it, like on the card.
After Roman's become the tribal chief and everything. Yeah, like they haven't had. There's so much history behind that. Again, it's a match that wouldn't need the title. If you throw Punk in there, like, it would be. I think it'd be a great match, but I also think that you're taking away then from the Rollins and Reigns history.
Which is why they need to be one-on-one. They need to be one-on-one at WrestleMania. They need to be one-on-one.
If it's not Punk and Rhodes, who are you getting for that match against Rhodes? You're not going to get Cena because I still think it's Orton's still off TV.
I think John Cena, Randy Orton is the WrestleMania. Randy Orton has to be John Cena's last match. He can't be nobody else.
It has to be. Everybody's like, oh, he's going to win. No, it's Orton and him.
It's got to be Orton. Yeah, he's got to be. Maybe this could finally be the scenario where CM Punk calls in that favor for Paul Heyman. And let's say Seth Rollins beats Finn Balor. CM Punk calls that favor in. He calls that favor in for Heyman. Roman Reigns comes out and screws Seth Rollins, and
that's what I'm saying. Is that favor still something? So that's why I'm personally saying don't waste Roman screwing Seth on a Raw. Save it for the Elimination Chamber. That's just how I feel. Because you still got a good month and a half.
They don't need any more build than they already have. You basically just gonna get a month and a half of Seth and Roman just looking for each other, and they're trying to. It's gonna get to a point where it's like, well, you know what? Take that back. I feel like this is too big of a blood feud to be a Cena Orton. I think this has Triple H, Shawn Michaels 2002, 2003, 2004 feels. The blood, like being in a group, trying to see who's better. Now that I think about it, I think this is this generation's Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Just the blood feud, being in a faction, and then one turning on the other, and then just the constant resentment. I think we're gonna get about like 3 weeks or a month or so of them just trying to tear each other apart. And then it gets to a point where you just have to put in a no contact rule up until WrestleMania. I could honestly see them going that route. I really could.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm with Jonathan. I still think Finn wins too.
Oh, you need 3 faces and 3 heels. Yeah, I could see. Yeah.
I don't even necessarily need the 3 faces and the 3 heels. I just think having Seth get screwed over by Roman on Raw is they don't need it at Elimination Chamber. I just think it makes a moment. I don't know. I although maybe you're right. Maybe you're right, and the favor gets called in at Elimination Chamber.
And Roman's not scheduled right now for Elimination Chamber. He got to do something.
Yeah,
he's not scheduled to be there. It would bring the surprise factor up even more if you save it for the Chamber.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Who wins on the women's side?
Oh God, I can't believe I'm about to let this come out my mouth. I think Liv wins, bro. I think Liv Morgan wins. But what I think is going to happen, I think it's going to be a triple. I think what's going to happen is going to be a triple threat. I think Io's going to sneak up in there somehow, some way. That's what I think is going to happen.
Because right now we have what? Bayley, Alexa Bliss, Liv, and Bianca Belair in the Elimination Chamber,
and Naomi. So yeah, I think they both still have one more slot to decide.
Okay, as much as I love Liv Morgan, do you really think they do Rhea and Liv at WrestleMania, even though they drag that out for a whole summer into a fall?
It's still going now. You got it. I mean, I thought it was over at that first Raw. It obviously hasn't. I mean, you got to end it. So
so then does Rhea just go over again?
I think you got to end it. I think you have to end it once for all. Rhea's got to beat her. She's got to end it. That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's got to go that route because technically when you're looking at it, technically it's one apiece. I'm just saying. Because I don't even want to include the bad blood match because that was a disqualification match. They both got one straight up win on each other. You got to end it. But yeah, that's right because Io's actually getting the shot the Raw after the Elimination Chamber. But I just don't think it's either gonna be Rhea and Liv or I think Io finds a way to sneak up in there because I think what might happen is Liv might cost her, like Liv will win the Chamber, Liv will cost Io, then you might sneak Io in there for a triple threat. So I think those are my 2 matches that I think can happen for WrestleMania.
It's not Alexa Bliss as much as I would love that. It's not Alexa Bliss because that's not her story. Her story is with the Wyatt Six.
And they started teasing that on SmackDown.
Yeah, they've already started teasing that twice now. So I'm not. It's not Alexa. Bianca, no. I mean, no, because that's not her story right now either. And Bayley, no. Bayley was
and she just had a banger match at Vengeance Day. That Fatal 4-Way.
Oh no, she can go.
I'm just saying that match cool, bro.
She can go. She can go. she's just, I mean, she's already expressed that she wants to start doing, she's in the mode of like putting talent over now.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be Bailey anymore. She wants to take more of a backstage role anyways. So I think the only one left that can win would be Liv.
Roxanne.
No, God, no.
No. So I'm just saying she's not. Yeah, I honestly think Roxanne's gonna beat Raquel and get in, but I don't think she's gonna win it.
The only thing that I could see the other part, and I don't think they're there yet, is Raquel's got to turn on Liv at some point, or Liv.
Oh, most definitely.
Liv's got to like blame her for something and then kick her out of the Judgment Day or something or whatever. Because so that's got to be, but I don't think we're there yet. So the only correct answer right now to win the Elimination Chamber is
Liv Morgan,
because nobody else really is there. And I guess Io, if you really wanted to do Io Sky, but her title run was boring. And I'm not really, I mean, you could maybe sell Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, but
you could definitely sell it.
I don't know, man, dude, her title reign was so boring. It just was. She didn't have a good feud. The problem with wrestlers that don't speak very good English, it's hard for them to cut good promos. So it's like they really have to rely. It's why what they've done with Nakamura has been great. Like what they've done with Nakamura, because his English is so spotty, they turned him heel and literally let him speak Japanese and mix it in with a little English here and there. But they turned him, like they basically, okay, do you remember the movie Bloodsport?
Yes.
Okay. You know the guy that I'm talking about, the main antagonist in that movie?
Oh yeah, Big Bolo. Yeah, I remember.
I've been saying for years that that's what Shinsuke's character basically should be, and that's essentially sort of what he is right now. I just think Io, maybe it is triple threat with Liv and Io and Rhea. I don't know. I don't know. I love Liv. But I kind of don't want to see her and Rhea again. I'm kind of over.
I am too, but it's just that you run into the factor of they each have one straight up win.
I know you need the rubber match. I know
you need the rubber match. That's why I think the way it's going, and honestly, when you think about it, the only one that doesn't have a story is probably Roxanne if she does beat Raquel. But I think they're going to do it to where Raquel wins. That way Liv has the backup. I think what's going to probably end up happening, Raquel will win and get in, and then they're going to start teasing the Liv Raquel breakup, because I think something's going to happen that Liv is going to be indirectly responsible for that causes Raquel to get eliminated. So I think they're going to start teasing that a little bit. And then, like I said, I think Jade's coming back at the Chamber. Whoever did it between Bianca and Naomi, she's going to go after them, or she's going to go after both. It just depends on how they do it. Well, she's going to go after who did it. And then because that's what I think will probably happen. Because I'm thinking with you, I think Naomi did it. She'll probably end up going after her. And like I said, but I think it's going to ultimately come out that Bianca was the one that set the whole thing off. So everybody else has really got a story. Everybody else has got a story. That's why I think with Liv, her story is real still. So
yeah, no,
that's why I'm calling it.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just,
try me. I'm tired of them too. Don't get it wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm tired of them too.
I love Liv Morgan. I do. I think she is the most improved wrestler in the past year or so, year and a half. Like I think her
easily.
Everybody can be haters all they want, and I got some friends that are haters of her. Dude, but her character work has been great. Her mic skills have gotten better. Her in-ring skills have gotten way better. Like she is, like I don't know. I don't get I don't get the hate. But I am over the Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan thing. I honestly, though, again, when we've talked about this before, I think the bigger, better WrestleMania match would be Rhea versus Dom.
I agree. It would be the bigger match by a long shot.
It just is.
Like when Eddie took on China.
Yeah.
Or
the bigger
Jericho
match.
took on China.
Yeah.
I think that's the bigger match.
I honestly think that match is going to happen this year. I'm starting to think along the lines that there's a real possibility that match is going to happen this year. I really do.
I do too. I kind of want that at WrestleMania though.
Yeah.
I think that's the match. And I think that's the route they should go.
Yeah. I honestly agree. But I just kind of see the booking and I'm just kind of trying to analyze and see how it's going. And honestly, the way it's going, it just makes sense to have Liv Morgan win that chamber. It just makes sense.
It does. Yeah. I know.
Little Harley Quinn.
I also think it would be the WWE rewarding Liv Morgan for the work she's put in this year to become as good as she has. I think you have to reward her with the WrestleMania spot. I think you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I love watching y'all cook on them wrestling topics, man. Love it. That's like I might just sit back, relax, and I enjoy it. Because that's epic proportions when I hear y'all talk about wrestling, man. Because y'all's knowledge, y'all's ability to see forward. I mean, not to mention, hell, if they put y'all on the creative team, I think y'all could do some things because the way y'all minds work, I really think that is instrumental to why this podcast is successful. But unfortunately,
go ahead.
Go ahead, my bad.
No, I was just saying, I just want to add one more thing to the Bianca and Naomi thing. It'd be great if Jade comes out and attacks Naomi, and then on SmackDown, like they're all in the ring, and Jade's just going in on, not like physically, but verbally, like just going like, how could you do this, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, and Bianca's just standing there in silence. And she just like turns around and on the mic and she just says, I'm the one that put her up to it. And then just goes from there. Like, dude, that would be dope. Like, I am all for that. And they both just attack her.
Yeah, and I'm about to say, I don't even think she needs to say it. Just when Jay's going in, and then all of a sudden, Bianca's just sitting there, and then all of a sudden that mood change.
Yeah.
She don't even say anything. She just drop her.
Yeah.
She ain't got to say nothing. Just drop her, and then they drop her. They both attack her, and then they both just leave. She ain't got to say a word. Just drop her.
No, then the evidence comes out later.
No, you're right.
Hey, I love it. I love it. I love it. That's amazing. Like pure theater, man. Pure theater watching you guys talk, man. Especially about that wrestling, man. Like I said, y'all are more in depth with y'all's. I speak on it as a casual fan watching. I'm just watching, like, hey, y'all are in depth, and that's what I love about you guys. And that's why this podcast is so successful because of you guys. But unfortunately, man, we ain't got to go home, but we got to get the hell up out of here. In the great words of Morris Day. So on that note, man, tell the people where to follow you, and look. Go and follow these two great content creators and great men on TikTok. TikTok is back. TikTok is fully back.
Yes, it is.
So go on the App Store, whether it's Google or Apple. Go download that app, and let's get back to making these TikToks and making that money. You know what I'm talking about? It's all about that money. So, hey, big ups to Flash. I have to shout you out for this, man, because I cannot tell you how many views about the idea that you gave me from the NFC East team. That video that you gave me, that idea got 100,000 views. That video got 100,000 views.
Nice. I'll take that.
So we're going to discuss when we go off the air about that a little bit in depth because we will be revisiting that conversation.
Okay.
But TikTok is back, and hey, it's a good thing to see, man. But on that note, let the people know where to follow you. Let the people know just let the people know where these great minds can be found, so that it can translate into content. Let them know.
Flash, you kick them off. Tell them where to follow you, bro.
Find me at Flash22 on TikTok and on Instagram. I just started putting out a little bit more content recently. I took a long hiatus from doing it just because I'm really busy during the school year and everything. So, but I'm starting to put out content again. So if you can find me on there, just put underscores between all the letters and 22 and you'll find me. So yeah.
As always, BRS Sports is the TikTok handle because I am back on there. I took a hiatus because my genius self, I thought it was legit done. So I took the app off my phone and they went through the little restrictions for a while, but I got it back on the phone. Starting by making content. I got a new video. I also got a story that I know is probably going to get a lot of attention because I was kind of persuaded that Jalen Hurts is probably a top 5 quarterback now. I said he's top 10. Some people are saying he's top 2. I don't think he's there yet. but watch the story. Watch the video that I made about why the NFL media needs to keep the Atlanta Falcons name out of their mouths when it comes to drafting UGA players. And I made the comparison as to why they don't keep this same energy for the New Orleans Saints drafting LSU players. They've only drafted 11 in the history of the franchise, but yet everybody seems to talk about, why don't the Falcons draft UGA players? Why don't the Saints draft LSU players? That's my latest video, so check that out. BRF Sports is the TikTok handle. My link tree's in the bio. You follow my Facebook, my Twitter /X, my IG. I'm about to really get back. I'm really about to get back into this as far as content creation and putting out videos and just getting my thoughts out there and getting feedback. Feedback from followers. I appreciate the support because, like I said, I didn't think I would be in a position where I'm doing podcasts and actually being seen on more of a national level like this. I didn't think it was possible, but hey, God is good, and He's blessed me with this opportunity, and I'm about to run with it and take it. So, a topic not thought about is a topic not talked about. Appreciate the love and support us. I mean, we support us. Like we the triple double for a reason. Like support us. From GA up to Wisconsin. Support us. We do this. We do this for y'all. We say some of the most outlandish, funniest possible things we can. We do it for y'all, but because we love y'all and because we love doing this. So follow us. Follow us. We love y'all. Keep supporting us.
Yeah, we do this in them great words of Young Jeezy. On that note, man, it's time to get up out of here. And I will say this before this camera goes off: don't get stuck at your side piece house tonight. I'm gonna holler at y'all.